Hello, welcome to our session, and I'm going to walk you through 10 things in Excel that you'd wish you'd known earlier. We're going to share the session. The first thing I want to talk to you about is quick analysis. Quick analysis is something that has been in Excel for quite a while, but you may not have discovered it quite yet. I'm going to show you what you can do with quick analysis, just a few different examples. It can do a lot more than what we're showing today. So here, for instance, I have a table of data, and if I just want to see in my marketing costs, which are my highest and lowest marketing costs in the running year, I select the data, and you see that I have this little icon popping up here. This is the quick analysis icon, and if I click it with the left mouse button, I see several things that I can do. The first tab is about formatting. So I can use, for instance, a color scale to quickly see green are the lowest costs, the highest costs, and red are the lowest, and I can use that. Or I can say I want to actually see items that are greater than a specific value. And if I click on that, I can say what value is it that I want to highlight, say greater than 450, and it is quickly highlighting just those. That is something you don't need any formulas for. Number two is also with quick analysis. I can show you, we can show you quickly the totals, totaling a table. So just select the table, and in the quick analysis button, go to the totals tab, and here you have several options. The first few icons will show you how to create totals at the bottom of the table. So for instance, you can hover over the sum, and you see that it sums every column in the table. And you could also do something like average, but in this data sample, it doesn't make sense to average the column. But it would make sense, for instance, to create a running total so that we see as the months progress, what is the total running costs that we had accumulated in those months. So let's just go for that. With that selection made, my table is still selected, and I can use that to apply another total. Let's just see what else we have. So here on the Totals tab again, I can scroll to the right, and I see I can use totals at the end of a row, which can be quite handy. So in this case, I could total how much the sum of all the equipment costs that I'd racked up, but it might actually make sense here to use an average, so we see what is our average marketing cost in each month. Click that, and it's there. And if you click one of the formulas, you'll see that it has put in dynamic formulas that will calculate. So we're using the subtotal in the totals and the average in the averages here, and that means that when your numbers change, that the formulas will update as well. Tip number 3 is also with quick analysis, and that is charts. You can quickly create a chart by just selecting some of your data, all of your data, and clicking the button here and go to charts. You have a few different chart types that are suggested here for you. You go for, and you get a preview when you click it. So line chart is one that I like. Let me just remove that again and show you what else there would be. So go for charts, give it some time. Line chart, cluster, column chart, whatever. You can see these, and when you click them, it'll enter them, and you can then proceed and do some more formatting of the chart if you want to. But it's a great way to quickly throw a chart into your sheet. Number 4, sometimes you have a list of numbers that have been collected over a certain time period, and you want to see how does that project into the future. How do I create a forecast of that? Well, with Excel 2016 onwards, you have this functionality to create a forecast sheet. You can find this on the data ribbon, and you select your table, your data, and then click the data ribbon. Let's just pin this here, and click the forecast sheet. It will show you a preview here, and you will see the thick line in the middle is the average forecast that it thinks is the most likely, but it also has the probability of a lower confidence and an upper confidence bound. So that is the range of what it thinks. There are options that you can set, and In this data set here, I have a few more rows of data, actually 10 years of data for a monthly arrivals number at an airport, and I want to figure out, will it make sense for me to build a new terminal at that airport? What do the projections look like for my arrivals at the airport? Because these are the arrivals numbers per month, so I go and click in a forecast sheet, and I see here that there is some kind of seasonality. So for my 10 years, I have a lot of ups and downs, but they seem to have a certain rhythm, a certain pattern. And Excel has detected that there is a seasonality of 12 months, and that is correct in this time because people travel more in summer, they travel on a holiday, so you see these ups and downs. And it has calculated that the projected forecast will be the light blue lines here. So yes, we are still growing, the projection is still growing, so it might make sense to actually go and build a new terminal. And if I click to insert that chart, it'll create a new sheet, and in the first few rows it will have the actual data, and then I go down to the first row of my projection is just the last row of data that it just copied over, and after that it uses the forecast function to calculate those forecasts. And there's a lot of options that you can set in the forecast function if you dig deeper into it to fine-tune your forecast. And now I'm handing over to Jeet with flash fill.
Yeah, so if you are building new columns out of some existing data, then flash fill can be a huge time saver. It's picking up a lot of noise. Yeah, so as you can see over here in the first column, we have a list of name and an address. I want to just get the last name out of it, so I start typing I start typing.
Just hit escape. Yeah.
So I start typing the last name over here. I go to the next cell, I start typing the last name over there, and Excel suggests me, it understands there is a pattern over here. From the first column it picks up all of those names, it starts suggesting that. I press enter, and as you can see, all the 500 rows are filled with the last names from the first column. All of them are extracted by the Excel. We can do the same thing from the state over here. We give it first sample. When we start typing the next one, Excel sees that pattern and immediately gets that for you. Same thing even for the zip codes. We do that and we start typing the next one, and it works. And this is not just about extraction. We'll look at a second example. It's also about if it detects if you are trying to modify it and structure it in a certain way. For example, over here we have a list of phone numbers. Let's say we want to format it better. We start typing that number. We format it over here. We say 415 and then 665-7763. Then we go to the next row. I hit the brace and it understands the entire thing and it formats the entire thing for me. It's so easy and super fast. The next tip that we have is text join. Now text join is a new function that we introduced which can save you a lot of time if you want to get a combination of various texts with various delimiter in between from earlier thing. For example, over here we have this range over here. Let's say we want to form a list which says each and every item in that range separated by commas. Earlier you would have to put a very big formula. For example, over here we are using an if kind of a huge function to detect blanks and only keep the remaining items and put commas in between. But with text join, it's as simple as you say text join, you put in the delimiter, we want comma over here, then you decide whether you want to ignore the empty cells or not. Yes, we want to ignore the empty cells over here, so we get it to true. We select the range,
you put the true button,
and there it is. You have that entire thing over here. Let's look at setting an example for this. Let's again say text join, and this time we want just a space to be a delimiter because we are forming a sentence out of the thing on the left. We again want to ignore any empty spaces. We select that range and done. And because this is a formula, let's say the sentence word is the man who brings the post in the morning is postman, but we want to say mail instead of post. We just change it over here, we change post to mail and postman to mailman, and it updates in the data over here exactly because it's a formula which always calculates. Next up is a functionality called map charts. If you want to visualize any geographic data that you have in Excel, map charts can be super helpful over there. We have a list of states over here with amounts against them. We select that entire range. We go to insert, select maps, map charts, and we have a chart over here which is driven by a service. As you can see, it is showing color indication of the amount filled in each and every state. And the projection is limited by default. It shows you for the states you have selected. For example, if we change your value over here, we say instead of California, we put in Alberta, Canada. It updates and starts showing the new region which encompasses both of those. But if you want to actually modify it and change it according to what you need, then you can always go over here. Let me bring it into the viewport. Right. So you have these options over here. You can decide how you want to actually, you can use various types of projection to see how it looks. You can decide what region shows up. If you don't want the automatic one, you can say I want the whole world's map, and you can choose all of those things. You can also decide whether you want to show labels inside of it. Let's go back to the only regions with data one and see that. You can select those options, as well as you can select which color combinations to choose in that chart from over here, as well as various patterns for those. Great. Let's go to the next, which is the 8th tip. Back to Ingeborg.
Right. This one is about conditional formatting, which can be really super useful if you want to quickly gain insights in some of your data without writing complex formulas. So I have a list of data here, and I want to see, are there any months where the visitor numbers are exactly the same or duplicate data? I could write a formula to figure out if any of these numbers occur more than once, but it's a lot quicker to do that just with conditional formatting. I just select the data I want to look at, and then on the home ribbon in conditional formatting, I go to the highlight cell rules and I go duplicate values, and yes, bam, there they are. So these are duplicates in my data. In this data set, it doesn't really worry me so much that I have duplicate numbers, but there are many situations where you don't want duplicates in your data, and that is a very, very quick way to check it. I have here the number of average views in, hang on, let me just see what I want to show you here for the average views. I want to show you the top three. So with conditional formatting, highlight this range, and I go to the top bottom rules and go to the top 10. Actually, I don't want to show the top 10 items, I just want to show the top 3, so I can change that number, and I want to give it a green fill, and these are my top 3 items in the list of the average views. I have here a number of repeat visits to my imaginary website, and in the next column I have calculated whether it's going up from the last month, and that is then a positive number, whether it goes down, which is a negative number, or whether it stays the same, which is a 0. And I'm going to use this calculation here and give it a conditional format with an icon set. And I'm going to use the up and down arrows, and I'm going to click on more rules here because I want to use some little refinement here. I'm still going to use the icon set. I'm going to select my up and down arrows, but I will show only the icon and hide the actual number that leads to that icon. So when I click that box, you see how the number will go away and just the arrow remains. So here is your up-down indicator for that. And what I found super useful when you travel a lot, go to some country where you've never been, just take a look at the temperature chart and visualize that. So for instance, with conditional formatting, you can go to a color scale. I can set that here. So I can quickly see that in this country with this average temperature, that August is the hottest month and January is the coldest, and if I travel I need to know what to pack. So number 9 is about pivot tables. I have some data here where we have products that we sell in different seasons and with different, through different sales reps. And I want to quickly see how much was sold in what season, by what sales rep. And the best way to do that quickly without any formulas is using pivot tables. I can just select any cell in my data range here and click Insert Pivot Table and select that I want the pivot table to go on this existing worksheet here in this cell and click OK. This will open the pivot fields pane on the right hand side, and I can now decide what I want to see in my pivot table. I want to see the seasons across the columns, and I want to see the product in the rows. And I want to see the aggregation of the units sold, and the sum of units sold is what it shows me as the default, and I'm happy to go with that. So I quickly have totaled how many apples we sold in winter. And we can do the same thing with, if I insert another pivot table, just to show you that it is quickly possible to do that with the sales reps as well. So, yeah, we do the seasons in the columns. What do you guess? The sales reps in the rows and the units sold in the values. And here is, how much product did every sales rep move. That is the pivot table. And what makes pivot tables really, really nice is you can use slicers to filter pivot tables. Actually, not just pivot tables, but also regular tables. In pivot tables, I have here a pivot table with several regions, and the data is the same as the underlying pivot table data that we have on the sheet before. And now I'm going to insert a slicer. To do that, I'm going to go to the pivot table and click Analyze ribbon, Insert Slicer. A slicer is a filter on steroids. So I want to filter by product. So here is my slicer now. It is, I could always go to the pivot table and say I want the product in the filters area, and that would give me this user interface, and it is not very nice to use, and it is a bit clunky. So I don't really like that here. I'm going to take that away again. The slicer here gives me a much nicer user interface, and I can quickly check what product was moved in which months by just clicking that. And if I hit that icon here, I'm going to clear the filter. Now the list of products is fairly long, and I would like to categorize that a bit more. I have a category field in my data, so when I look here, another way to insert a slicer is to right-click on it in the field list and say Add as Slicer. Now I have the category as a slicer, and when I click on confections, for instance, or on dairy products, my list of products gets filtered down to highlight only the ones that fall into this category. So it's a cascade of filters that can quickly be applied with just a few clicks. But not only can more than one slicer be applied to one pivot table, we can also apply a single slicer to more than one pivot table. Did I just say that correctly? So one pivot table here has two slicers, but we also can do it the other way around. Here we have two pivot tables and one slicer connected to both of them. And good practice is to give your pivot table a name. So this pivot table is called PT channel because it shows me the sales channel. This pivot table is called PT region because it shows me the regions. And this slicer here is connected to both these pivot tables, PT channel and PT region. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to make that more apparent. If I select something in this slicer, you see that both pivot tables and adjacent pivot charts change at the same time. This is a super useful tool to build dashboards, and give that to your boss and he can just click and she can select things in the dashboard. So that is our tip 10 for today. Just wanted to make sure that you know we will be in the Excel booth in the Expo Hall for the next 2 hours. Just come to the Office 365 Pro Plus area, and if you have any questions, and we can follow them up.
And There are also a lot of great tips over here. If you go to the home tab, you will find the learning templates over here. To get started, these will be super helpful. They have a lot of functionality being shown over here, which will help you out. Thanks.